What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, what is really moving it, and some key levels to watch for. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is down 3.9%, 539 the high, 475 the low. So absolute crazy day for Opendoor. At its peak, it was up like 7%, and then unfortunately the broader market kind of took hold of it and did really bring it down. Range right now is 12.8%. So for those of you that are day traders, swing traders, you could have made some pretty good money based on just the overnight to the kind of market open, because during the overnight it was down about 3.2 to 3.5%. So definitely a lot of good money to be made, but still it's really unfortunate just the timing of Opendoor's earnings, because yeah, it was absolutely epic earnings. Even popping right over here, the negatives from Opendoor's earnings, this is kind of what is listed as risks and concerns, they're really not that big of a deal. So I think all in all, Opendoor had a pretty kick-ass earnings. And interestingly enough as well, though, we only have had one analyst rating at all. And so that was done by JPM. Day, who has a 46% success rating, gave a $8 buy. So over the last 3 months, you have a $6 price target average, and that represents a 25% upside from where we are now. So it's fair to assume a lot of these bears will not be kind of re-rating or any changes. So still, Opendoor's from an analyst standpoint it's just kind of getting brushed under the rug, which is rather unfortunate. But today, we don't really have that much in data. It's just the market digesting what came out on Friday. So Trump did sign after hours on Friday a 10% global tariff, shortly increasing that to 15%. And from what I see online, it's assumed that it is going to increase to 20, possibly even 25% if he's not going to get the response that he's looking for. So at the end of the day, that's going to be not necessarily the best. There really hasn't been that much in news from Opendoor. Nothing really coming out from Kaz whatsoever. So I think his latest posts were kind of about the hockey game, the gold medal game between Canada and States. Aside from that, though, he's just kind of letting it ride for the most part. When it comes to shorts, they are increasing 436,000 shares. So they're trying to really suppress Opendoor. 14.9% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 122 million shares overall being shorted. So still some signs of naked shorting, and that's been consistent since pretty much right over here, like end of November for the most part. And in case you're new to the channel, I've kind of brought that up periodically. What that does mean that there is more shares being shorted than on loan. That shouldn't happen whatsoever. But as you can kind of see right here, once the market did open, they threw about 4.4 million shares at Opendoor. So quickly going right over here to Opendoor, this spike was very interesting. So you did have a lot of institutions buying up Opendoor, and then you had shorts really hitting it. So this was a little bit more of a battleground. Unfortunately, the longs did lose, at least for right now. But I'll kind of go over some of the institutional transactions, which will make this kind of make sense more. But from a options viewpoint, 2.3 million in calls so far, 514,000 in puts. 50% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 550. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 450. So definitely a lot more bearishness is starting to kind of surge through Opendoor. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So this is why you don't always want to just look at what's happening based on the price action and assume like institutions are selling, because I'm sure a lot of people see negative 4.2% and then assume institutions are selling, because if we look right here, this paints a different picture. If anything, a lot of institutions were buying Opendoor, except for this 123,000 that was a sell. Everything else was a buy. So big money. This is what gave it that nice push higher before shorts really threw a lot at it. So it is rather unfortunate. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. And this isn't chronological. It's just organized based on premium size on a side note. So largest being 1.17 million. So again, during that nice push higher, a lot of institutions would have been using the dark pool as well. This is why you see a lot of hold numbers. So most likely hedge funds were also buying Opendoor higher. But algorithmic trading is a beast in among itself. And once I go over the flow, it'll make a lot more sense. But right now with it at 479, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 428 is going to be a strong support. 495 was going to be that strong support, but it didn't really last all that long. So that's going to be the next strong target. So again, something just to kind of watch for. Aside from that though, getting back over here on the actual chart itself, right now, it is kind of flirting with that 200-day moving average. And if it does break below that, then regrettably, you are going to see further consolidation. And I think Opendoor's earnings was that glimmer of hope to really bring it to that 50-day moving average. It's just extremely poor timing. And it's outside of Opendoor's control, of course, what Trump is going to do and all this fun stuff. But the market is very much starting to snowball again. This is the flow right here. So you can clearly see that algorithmic trading is a big force and kind of where most of the volume is coming from. Market position though, you can kind of see that there's not that much willing buyers. So a lot of the bids that were placed, limit orders by institutions, they are kind of getting pulled. So Opendoor, like I wouldn't really count it down and out just yet, but if it does break below that 200-day moving average, then consider it, it might have some consolidation. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Are you buying? Are you selling? What's your kind of general, honest opinion of everything that is happening, especially Trump? And it's really unfortunate, right? Because he kind of came in, he said, hey, everyone's going to be so happy about winning. Like you're going to beg to stop winning. And pretty much like 2026 has been horrific. And Opendoor, I think, was having a pretty solid end of 2025, had a very nice push higher, a lot of optimism. Then we had this kind of period right here where we were in a show me kind of stage where people are just very much watching kind of Kaz just to see kind of what the next steps were, how was he going to develop things operationally. And then you see a home run earnings, but unfortunately we're in a kind of a vicious downtrend right now. So yeah, just to put it in perspective on how much we have actually gone down. So for instance, since kind of right here, just that, we're down 26.38%. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.